focusing on the journey instead of focusing on the end result is what we should be thinking about. And that is certainly not where I started.
Welcome to the Happy Engineer podcast, the place where we help engineers like you to build your career, balance your life, and be happy. I'm Zach White, former engineer turned lifestyle engineering coach, and your host for the journey to the career and life that you desire. Hey, I believe that you shouldn't have to sacrifice your life to reach your full potential at work. And what we're going to bring you in these conversations and interviews are the strategies, the tools, and the mindsets that are going to allow you to experience both success at work and success at home. Hey, we do the best we can to keep this free from advertisements. Of course, I can't control what YouTube may throw up, but do us a favor and share this podcast with anybody who you think may like it. And don't forget to click the bell and subscribe and get notifications to our YouTube channel and for upcoming releases of the Happy Engineer podcast. I would love your feedback, and even more than that, love your story. Share with us how these strategies and tools are working for you. Would love to be in touch with you. Connect with us on social media. Find me at Oasis of Courage on Instagram, Facebook, or Zach White on LinkedIn. It's an absolute pleasure to serve you. Now let's do this.
Can you believe this? Come on. Copper Mountain right there. Oh, but look at you. What beach is that? Oh, sweet. Where are you? I mean, you're in Rio, but what beach is that?
I'm in a place called Buzios.
So
it's
cool.
A fishing village.
Unreal. Well, Happy Engineers, welcome back again. This is part 2 with the amazing chef extraordinaire Charles Webb. I hope that you listened to part 1. If not, go back and jam with us in that first conversation where we covered all kinds of topics. But specifically here in part 2, we wanted to share our heart and our passion for lifestyle. And for those of you who've been following the Happy Engineer, you know we talk about lifestyle engineering. It can look a million different ways, and it's all about that authentic look for what you're trying to create for a successful and happy life for you. But Chef Charles, so glad you're back, and tell us where you're at and what's going on for you. And for those who are just catching audio, you got to go watch the video version of this too, because holy cow, Chef, welcome back. Talk to us. Where are you, man?
Welcome back is right. I'm probably a little more calm than I was at the airport in Miami. I'm in a place called Buzios, Brazil. Hard as hell to get to and so rewarding. There's not a charter flight that flies you directly here, and you got to jump through some hoops. But this is a former fishing village, kind of got its name by Brigitte Bardot. The owners of Cirque du Soleil had a home here. Rene Lacoste had a home here. Just a lot of really interesting people, but also very quiet. It's not pretentious. And that's what I love about it. It's a great little retreat. And I'm in a place called Posada Abracadabra. This is their new private dinner table area. And maybe one day I'll cook there. Who knows what'll happen? I hate cooking, mixing pleasure. And I know that's not true. I love actually pleasure and work is what it's about. Yeah.
Amen. So there you are in an absolutely gorgeous tropical paradise. And I find myself today in Copper Mountain, Colorado. And for those seeing the difference, Chef Charles with the beautiful beaches and sun in the background. And here I am, and it's all whiteout conditions behind me. It actually snowed a couple inches last night. We've got fresh powder on the mountain here in Copper Mountain. And I can't wait to hit the slopes on the snowboard with my wife and friends later today. But Chef, your experience in life, you've traveled all over the world and you've found ways to blend your passion and your work, your income, in all sorts of interesting spaces, places, and getting, I'll say, a willingness to be creative with that. So tell us a little bit about that journey for you in blending work and pleasure and your lifestyle.
You know, I think focusing on the journey instead of focusing on the end result is probably what we should be thinking about. And that is certainly not where I started, 92 jobs ago, pre-PE, pre-entrepreneur life as a food and beverage entrepreneur. I just think that, certain people could do that and certain people just can't. I don't know. It make it seem so easy. And I'm going to tell you, as you know, as you know at home, it's not easy to be on that freshly powdered slopes where it's white out and he's going to probably jump on a snowboard or skis and do his thing. And then obviously, seeing where I'm at behind me, but, digital content creator around lifestyle, around food, around travel, and around all of those great things that we're talking about. But yeah, I mean, like, how do you bring it all together? I love watching these guys on YouTube who just pop out of nowhere and they like start telling how like, hey guys, I'm going to show you how to make a lot of money and do this shit. And it's just like, I want to watch those guys all the time and figure out how to make the amount of money that I need to make to do what I need to do. And I value and I prioritize things a little differently. And I think that that's also what it's about. I've learned along the way to maybe put me in front of everything else, because when I'm good, everything else is good. Which means that when I'm taking care of my mind, my body, my soul, my spirituality, when I'm taking care of those things, I'm in a better place, which means that I could be more productive. I'm happier. My energy radiates at a different vibration.
Yeah.
And it makes people gravitate. And I mean, am I answering the question? I don't know. I just kind of freestyled. I'm going to start beatboxing here. We'll stop there.
Two things I want to hit, because it's really important what you just shared. Number one is the mindset for the engineering leader who may be tuned in and listen to this, wondering, okay, hey, Chef Charles, I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't have this freedom that you have. So I want to talk about that mindset of, I can't have what you have. Like, how did we get here? And what's possible for you now? And then the second one is this idea of, what does it really take? And related to your values and the journey. Because I can tell you, I didn't get to this point quickly. And I dreamed and visioned for this for years and years and years before I got to the point where I could work and build my business at the same time as being able to enjoy travel and lifestyle at the level that I do now. I know the same for you. 92 jobs ago, being where you're at today wasn't even on the radar. Let's hit that first point. Somebody's maybe watch this, maybe they're tempted to tune out already. Like, this isn't for me. I can't have that because I'm a W-2 9-to-5er. I work for Google. I work for Apple. What would you say to somebody who's just is in that, they're stuck in that place of, I can't have that? How do you break out of that mindset?
Well, I think that the first thing is that the industry is changing. The landscape of the world is changing. I think more and more people are understanding that they can be remote. First, they didn't want to be remote, and now they're like, hey, wait a minute, I'm remote. Why do I need to be locked in an apartment or condo or whatever your situation is in a place where it's miserable and, might be miserable a few months out of the year, or maybe more, to get, what you want. So, a lot of people start to become, I don't know what they call them, 1099s. You're an independent contractor. Maybe you're a consultant. Maybe you're working remote. You need to start looking at how you can do what you do and find ways to do it where it works for you. And maybe this doesn't work for you, right? Maybe that doesn't work for you. Maybe that where Zach's at doesn't work for you. And that's okay. And that's okay if you want to go to the office every day and that's your mission. That's fine. That's great. Or maybe you do that, but you also want to get this as well, right? You want to experience this as well. So I think where it starts is defining where you want to be. And listen, if you define where you want to be today, that doesn't mean that your 3-year plan or whatever is not going to change in 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 years. Kind of like you get in your car metaphorically and people just drive in life. And that's not what you want to do because you'll run out of gas. So what you want to do is you want to say, hey, I'm going to point B and I'm taking expressway A. And you try to get to point B and expressway A is busy and you end up taking some side streets and then you take an expressway B, you get to expressway C and you get to the destination that's destination 8.4, not A1, A2, A3, A4. So, this is life, man. This is how it is. Like, we want everything to fit in the box, but squares don't fit into whole circles sometimes and blah, blah, blah.
And I agree with that. So the thing for me, if you're in that place of feeling stuck, hey, I want to experience what Chef Charles is experiencing. I want to do what Zach's doing. The first thing is to get off this idea of the box that you're in being all that is. And I will tell you from experience in my own career at Whirlpool Corporation, but also with the clients I coach now, and Chef Charles, you'll appreciate this. Sometimes we just assume that we're in that box and what's possible for us is a certain level. but we haven't actually even asked. When was the last time you went to your boss and said, hey, for me, something that is really important is to start creating some additional freedom and flexibility for my lifestyle. Would it be possible for me to do fill in the blank, work a 4-day, 10-hour shift instead of what you're doing on a 5-day, 8-hour shift? Would it be possible for me to do what I call day trading? I'd like to hit the slopes on a Wednesday when it's less crowded, so I can maybe work on Saturday and be on the slopes on Wednesday, just some day trading, things like this. Get creative, start asking new questions, etc. So, Chef, you said this journey, not destination mindset. Where did you end up, or maybe I'll say it this way, how did you end up in your journey in that amazing spot in Brazil today? Like, what are you up to? What's next? Just tell us what you're doing, man.
First thing you should know, I've lived here before. That's the first thing you should. I've spent a few years living here. I've lived in 9 countries in the world. I've lived in Rome 2-3 times, south of France, Copenhagen, Monaco, Mexico, Brazil, obviously a place that I definitely put some roots in. Awesome. And what can I say? Why am I here? What's going on? Brazil is such I don't even know what adjective to use. There's so many. It's just an overwhelming country. There's just so much to see and do and dive into. And sadly, and not sadly, I come back to places like Búzios where they're like me walking back home. I'm back home when I'm here. And that helps me, recharge, relax, regenerate that energy. It helps me work in a different capacity. It helps me think out of the box. It helps me get refocused. They say a minute in New York is like 40 seconds. A minute here is like 2 minutes. It's a fishing village, man. So you got to think about it. If I take a 2-week vacation, do I want it to seem like 9 days or do I want it to seem like 28 days?
That's really interesting. That experience of time, I just want to sit there for a second because the engineer in me is like, hey, Chef Charles, time is time, right? 1 second is 1 second. The atomic clock says it is. But time is more than some scientific notion of how the world rotates on its axis. This idea of the experience of time. And we've all been there, right? You're on that first date with someone who you're really attracted to, and the time it's like, it goes so slow in that key moment. You're just sitting there, eyes locked, loving it. It's like you could be there forever. And then there's other times it's like totally gone. For you, how do you relate to this idea of just slowing the pace, being present, like letting time stretch and expand? Like, how did you get into that place? How do you live that way?
Well, I mean, it just happens organically. It's something that it happens, on its own. But being able to settle into it, think of yourself as a car. You're probably working in 4th or 5th gear. Some of us are working in 5th gear turbo. Some of us are working in 5th gear twin turbo, right?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Like you're totally. The Carrera over there working at twin turbo. So it's about understanding what to do at that time and how to value it. And then also how to look at it from a distance and use it to your advantage.
I like that. Thinking about how to use the time that you have, which I'll tell you, you made the comment earlier about, hey, we just get in the car and drive through our lives. And then one day we run out of gas and we look up, it's like, well, how did I end up here? And where am I? And that whole notion of letting time just fly by. I mean, I used to have days, even weeks or months in my engineering career that would pass by. And then you kind of look up, it's like, what have I done? What am I even doing? Did I get anything productive done in my life today, this week, this month? So what I love about your work, and I want to spend some time really talking about #ChefOnTour and the projects that you're up to, because I believe that engineering leaders have a part of them that's deeply creative, deeply passionate, and wants to get connected to those things, both inside and outside of the office. And so how you bring that to life is amazing. I know we talked a little bit in part 1 about this, but tell us, how does #ChefOnTour connect with what you're doing there in Brazil? And how do we, if we want to be a part of that journey with you, plug in and see the content and start to experience this in our own life?
The interesting thing is we all either travel vicariously through someone whether it's an Anthony Bourdain or Rick Steves or your favorite guys, Mark Lean on YouTube. I mean, there's so many great people to watch and see the awesome content that they create. I mean, this is not a competition. This is, hey, let's really understand who's doing what and what we like. And we can watch a lot of different content, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's not about creating a one-dimensional docuseries. It's about creating content, digital content, that's around things that are real. The storytellers in those cities. So that's not necessarily a travel series, but yet travel is a big driver for it. We're talking about food because obviously I cook, and we're creating a really engaging experience with our storytellers and, you know, would you call them influencers and experts and activists, et cetera, from that city. And that's going to be a lot of fun and like an UNESCO World Heritage Site. Very, you know, off the beaten track, of course, jaunting through the markets and all of that. But realistically, you at home as a traveler or wanting to aspire to travel more, one of the things that we want to do is that we want to connect more with where we're at. This is extremely important. We call it cultural immersion experiences.
Yeah,
how
I
do
love
you
that.
take that and how do you just elevate that, whether you can come today to Buzios, or you come in a month, or you come in a year, or maybe you come in 3 years, whatever. But you got to aspire. We all aspire. And around the content that we create, we find people that are very engaging, whether they're gamers or street artists or LGBTQ activists or tech entrepreneurs or fashion or mommy bloggers, wellness and fitness. Music, of course, drives a lot of lifestyle. Digital nomadic lifestyle, understanding what places like this offer. What do they offer you as a not just traveler, but now a person who's has the range to go and jaunt around the world and work from your laptop as long as there's really good internet. So, you know, really kind of dialing into that. Our next stops, Cartagena, Colombia, which I love. Bogota, fantastic dynamic city, very vibrant with the arts. Mexico City, Oaxaca, we're looking at Colombo, Sri Lanka, Bangkok, and that's just hopefully that'll take us into June. So, you know, we want you to be dialed into places. Lisbon, Portugal, doing fantastic things with the digital nomad community. Israel's doing great things. We're loving what we're seeing out of Tel Aviv. Istanbul, Turkey, trying to reinvent themselves. So it's just, you know, how do we help our friends out there as well?
I think there's 2 or 3 points I want to just put pins in that are so important. Number one is this idea of getting deeply connected to the places and the people and the culture, which at least in my life, Chef Charles, I've always been more of a tourist than a traveler, you know, someone who really digs in and gets to know places. And what you're talking about, so point 2, this digital nomad lifestyle, not everyone listening to this is interested in that, but I know that a lot of engineering leaders are. Whether you have a family and roots down in a city today or not, the world is becoming a smaller and smaller place in regards to how you can curate that lifestyle. What Chef Charles is doing here with #ChefOnTour, the reason I would encourage everybody to plug in and watch the content and get into this with him and with his team and with all these amazing people that he mentioned and all these amazing places is to widen the aperture of that aspiration. Get your mind open and engaged with what all is out there in the world and the places and spaces you could potentially take your life, whether it's for a week or for a year or for the rest of your life. There's so much available. And for me, this is one of those channels where you can see so much in such a rich, authentic way. And so, Chef, I love the work you're doing. I can't, you know, plug it heavily enough that people should plug in and check this out. It's not going to scratch that technical engineering itch inside of us, but we got plenty of that. This is a way to really expand and tap into those other passions, those other parts of your whole being, which, as you know, at Oasis of Courage is something I believe in so much. You're a whole person.
Yeah, you said something there that I want to pin down. Understanding how to rejuvenate that. If you're going to Sri Lanka, it's an Ayurvedic resort, or you're going down into Patagonia because you need to trek through, do some trekking. That's all there, but you want to get a different, you know, flavor. You want to get a different flavor going. Again, look at this place behind me. If you want sun, if you want subtropical environment, if you want all of those things that get me excited, you know, I'm going to go hang out with the fishermen on Friday. and we're going to be on the fisherman's boat. We're going to go get some fish. And I'm a pretty simple guy. You know, I don't need all that jazz, but that's enough to like really get me excited. And I hate to say this, but sometimes like I can tell like my clients and my friends that people are upset with me because they haven't figured out that piece, or they don't allow themselves to get there. Allow yourself to get there. We're going to go back to conversation one when I was in the Miami airport. Build that chalkboard wall.
Yes.
Find out, create that, call it a vision board, call it what you want, but build it out, no holds barred. We're all visiting this planet. Figure out what it is that like jazzes you up. It can't just always be work, or maybe it is. I don't know.
Let's just say this, there's no judgment on the decision that you make, but I want to challenge everyone, myself, Chef, for you every day. I know you're living this, but for everybody listening too, don't just take the default option. Let's get serious about deciding what do you value. If it's work every day in the same place that you're at, awesome. There's no judgment for that. But if you have that craving to experience more, to really expand in your life, I hope this conversation and these spaces and places are giving you that spark to want to go after it. So hashtag Chef on Tour. We're going to put all the links in all the show notes again. So please take a look, engage with the chef extraordinaire, Charles Webb, and everything that they're doing. And just check out the YouTube video of this as well. Chef's like showing off this incredible place. Man, I wish we had all day to just hang. But of course, here I am on the opposite side of the world's culture. It's freezing here. My hands are getting a little icy, Chef. So, oh man, he's going to finish with the dunk. You going?
I know,
here,
you know,
Chef?
you guys, I just broke my necklace. I'm going to have to go back to but let's take a look at the place. And here I go. And I think I'm going to go for the dunk, but I don't have anybody to hold it.
That's all right. Chef, we'll be there in spirit. Oh, he's going to work it out for us. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Get inspired, get motivated. We're going to watch Chef Charles take a dip, and we're going to call it a day here with the Happy Engineer podcast.
I swear I'm trying. Hang on. You know what? I'm going to go old school style. They say these phones are waterproof, right?
We'll
right,
have
guys.
to talk to our engineers at Apple
Hashtag
about
Chef
that.
on Tour, Chef Charles Webb on Instagram. We'll see you later.
Cheers.
Hello, my friend. Zach White here again, and I wanted to let you know that's all we've got for this episode of the Happy Engineer podcast. Thank you so much for investing your time with me today. It is an absolute pleasure to be able to bring you this content. Just as a reminder, it would be amazing if you would subscribe and share this episode with any other engineers you know who may benefit from this. And if you're like me, I hope that you'll take some notes and, more importantly, take action. In our audio version of the podcast on Apple Podcasts and any place that you go to find podcasts, there's a little more content from me about this episode in the debrief. If you really want to hear about how to put this into action, I'd encourage you to go grab that. But thank you for joining us for the video version of our interview today. And again, can't thank you enough for helping us to get the word out about the Happy Engineer podcast and what we're doing. If there's any way we can serve you, would love to do that. Go find us at oasisofcourage.com or reach out to me on social media at Oasis of Courage. And don't forget again to subscribe and click the bell to have notifications of upcoming releases of new episodes of the podcast. As always, I want to leave you with this. If you stay in your comfort zone, you're not going to grow. So let's crush comfort, create courage, and let's do this.